We're live.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Hope we're all good. We, Golden Goal, are back with your interesting congestion of shows. We've got the /FPL/Premier League preview. So I'm your host tonight, but join us after the intro when I show you my guests.
Fitting way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They've done it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones. Andros Townsend!
A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends. An immaculate.
Trying to find a way through.
Can you hear me?
You come?
Yeah, we're good.
Basically, we are back. I'll introduce you to the guest straight away. Sam, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm right. I thought it because on my phone it said that it was muted, not muted.
Mm-hmm.
So I've basically done the whole intro, saying what I was going to say, but I don't think anyone heard it. So,
Nah, you weren't like after when you actually started speaking. It wasn't long after the intro finished, so it kind of worked.
okay. Well, I do things differently to Hubert and Abdi, to be fair. And we've got our other guest, my good friend Ray. How you doing? Welcome back again, mate.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Yeah, I'm all good. I've been missing the football actually. I know, obviously, with the Queen dying and whatnot, it's everything's been postponed. But yeah, I've been missing it, so I'm looking forward to this chat. Should be good this weekend. Let's get into it.
A lot to talk about. So, obviously, evening to everyone that's watching as well. Hope you're all doing well. And obviously, as a channel, we've our respects and all that to the Queen, and we're not like Liverpool. So yeah, moving on. So we'll start briefly. I know we don't normally do this, but the England squad got announced today, so we'll quickly touch over that because, as some people know, I have got a problem with it. So, the squad. I won't go through the whole squad, but we'll go through bits of it. So, I think the goalkeepers were Pope, Ramsdale, and Henderson. So quickly, Ray, what do you think about them three?
Yeah, I'm pleased with that. I would have thought he would have put Pickford in there, and I'm kind of glad. Oh, he's injured. Okay, yeah, well, I'm kind of glad that's why then. But no, I rate all three of those. And had Pickford been fully fit, I would have actually picked all three of those ahead of Jordan Pickford. In terms of who actually starts, though, that's I think that's a bit more contentious, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know we've all got our sort of Arsenal bias, but clearly it's got to be Ramsdale, isn't it? You would have thought, but knowing old Gareth, I'm sure he'll throw a curveball in there. So let's wait and see.
Yeah. So we'll quick. I think West Ham might be losing.
It's a shame.
So we'll go on to the defenders, where my big issue is. So we have Arsenal at the top of the league. Ben White not been picked. We've got Harry Maguire's been picked. Luke Shaw's been picked. Eric Dyer's been picked. Mark Gerhard's been picked. So, Sam, is it? Am I missing something, or are they all those ones I've listed better than Ben White?
No, but I've just been thinking as you've been talking, and these are only for the friendlies. So I do think it might change come the World Cup. I just think he's trying out a few options to kind of consolidate. I think Ben White will already be in that World Cup squad. yeah, for as long as obviously it's better for us, he's not in the friendly games because do you know what happens? They're going to the games, they get injured. So you can see it like that. I think he will be. I'll just let in another special guest.
Hello.
Welcome, Matt. How are you, mate?
I'm all right.
We're just talking about Sir Gareth Southgate and all his amazing decisions.
Well,
we're not really, but
I think Sam's got some point. I think you've all sort of made your points as well that Ben White has been left out in the cold. There's been other players that as well. Sancho's hit a bit of form. No MVP. Mason Mount's in that squad, and you look at him and you just think where you're playing. And although for some reason he keeps on being played as a winger, but he doesn't play as a winger. Same as Jack Grealish. It's an oddity, and I just think that they're just going to take the L's, and just it's terrible because this essentially is your World Cup preparation.
We've got no other games, have we? Really?
Yeah. If you preparing to play Wales, Iran, and US like that by losing to Germany and Italy, then it doesn't set a good tone, considering Italy are going to turn around and go, oh, we were European champions and we did it in your backyard and X, Y, Z. It doesn't look great. So it was stupid for them in the first place to do 4 games just after the season. The team was tired as it was. And this is what we're going to see now is if we are relegated to that next league, it's just going to be stat padding for Mr. Gibberish, a sloppy talker over down the road.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to bring in some controversy. If it means that we get knocked out of the group stage and then Southgate, they get rid of Southgate, I would happily take that. Because I think we're now wasting time because we've got the best squad we're ever going to have, and we're not going to win anything, I don't think, under him. So,
yeah, I've never been one of those fans. I can't want us to lose, so he goes. I just can't do that. That's me personally. I think Southgate's a fraud. I've said it I've said it for as long as I can remember. Like, I did not rate him at all. He's done very well. He's done very well to bring the squad together and get us to where we are. But has he? Because the players we've got, we should be getting to semi-finals.
Oh yeah, easily.
I know people can say, "Oh, but some countries don't do that." But that's some countries. As we don't like to say it, like we've got one of the best so-called strikers in the country in Kane. But whether we like him or not, he is that. And when we're talking about England, you've got people like Raheem Sterling, who'd won Premier League titles, Foden's won titles. Saka's one of the best young players in the world, in my opinion. And that's not because where he plays for Arsenal. I just think he has that talent. He can play anywhere. Like the players we've got, they're not shit. Like they've won Champions League, Premier League. So I just don't like in that final against Italy. We should have won that personally.
Mm-hmm.
But we did lose it on pens, though. That's
yeah. I think we lost it.
I think it should have been. I think it should have been done in normal time. It shouldn't have had to go to pens.
I think as soon as it goes to penalties, like just the way it was heading, I think half the battle was done for Italy. If I'm truthful, like when you see, no disrespect, Saka and Sancho step up and take penalties, who Saka's never ever took one in his life.
Yeah, he shouldn't have had that responsibility.
Sancho, same with Sancho. He'd been on like 2 minutes.
And Rashford as well.
Yeah, and so, but we won't be all negative about England on the final point. We'll wait till the World Cup.
Just go back though, even in that World Cup, you look at the game against Croatia, we should have won that game.
Yeah, we should have.
That game should have been done and dusted. I know we talk about hypotheticals about people.
If Harry Kane passes to Sterling, we're in the final.
2-0 and we're into the final. We would have given France a good game. We would have lost it, but we would have given them a proper game, not like Croatia did, where Lloris basically goes, "Oh, you used to play for Tottenham. I'll give you a goal to Modric." It's just one of those things that I look at it and go, "This team could have been competing for finals They've only just started now.
Yeah.
It's going to be his last. It's going to be last chance saloon for him. I have a feeling.
Cool. And one thing we'll briefly go on to, and then we'll go actually on to the Premier League show. Positive news from England is, I think, Ivan Toney being called up. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think he's probably, along with Kane, probably the most informed English striker at the moment. I know Tammy Abraham's done well in Italy since he's been there, but no, I really like that as a pick. I just hope he gets some minutes to see what we can actually do.
Yeah,
see what we can actually do.
So.
Yeah.
Cool. Sam, do we have any comments before we move on?
We do not.
Okay, cool. So obviously Premier League's back after the tragic death of the Queen, and so I know, Matt, you don't do FPL, but we're going to briefly just do an FPL thing, then we'll move on to the actual football stuff. Oh, this is coming from the person, Matt, who does WSL football and calls his team name Y. So and he's very good at predictions, aren't you, Matt?
So good. So good.
I thought he was going to start singing Sweet Caroline then.
That's only for the women.
So we'll start with you, Sam. Who do you think is going to sign this weekend in the football, or in the 8 games we have?
Well, predominantly my team this week, looking at it, is Arsenal players, because you've got 3 Arsenal players in there. So I'm hoping that we can put a few away. Let me have a look at the games, because I feel boring and a fraud, because every time I go, oh, it's going to be Jesus that does well, and he never does. He never gets many points.
Let me read them out for you. So tomorrow you got Villa versus Southampton, Forest versus Fulham. Saturday you've got Wolves City, Newcastle Bournemouth, and Tottenham Leicester. And then on the Sunday you've got Brentford, Arsenal, Everton, West Ham.
Again, the game where you see the most goals going in is ours. So I am going to be a fraud, and I'm going to say Jesus or Martinelli.
Cool. Who would you say, Matt, if you had to choose?
Striker-wise, just the way Haaland is, and Wolves, they've let in 1 or 2 goals, but I think if Haaland turns up, it's going to be a hat-trick. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be just one of those games.
He's in my team.
Yeah, same.
Buckets. He's going to end up breaking records, and I think he might already have that eye on that 40-goal record in a season.
What worries me about Haaland is Pep Guardiola. Like, would he just like to rotate where he's just played in the Champions League, and that's the only thing that worries me about putting him as a captain.
I think with Haaland as well, Norway didn't qualify for the World Cup. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it didn't.
So I think he will obviously have that rest during that time. So as long as he's fit, I think Pep will start him. Obviously, you might get the odd Carabao Cup game and the odds league game here and there, but I think 90% of the time he's got to start.
I can't see him playing in the Carabao Cups, really. I think that'll be the ones he misses out in.
Well, not the early rounds, but as it sort of gets further along. Because they take that competition quite seriously, City, don't they? So
to be fair.
I'm not going to allow you to make a transfer, George, in my team, but I will let you choose who's going to be captain out of my strikers.
Well, we'll go round.
Or Mitrovic.
Jesus or Mitrovic, did you say?
Or Haaland.
Oh.
You can pick.
I could be really thin and just say Mitrovic, couldn't I?
You could.
We'll go round. Each person can vote. I'll go last, though. So, Ray, who do you think you should pick?
Remind me of your strikers, sorry, Sam.
Haaland, Jesus, and Mitrovic.
I think you've got to go Haaland, surely.
Yeah, I think I've banked on.
What about you, Matt? Who do you think?
I think I've already mentioned Haaland, so it'd only be fair to say Haaland.
Cool. I don't even know if Fulham are playing.
Forest.
See that?
It's between.
I think it's between Mitrovic and Haaland, but I think obviously automatically you would go Haaland. But so yeah,
I mean that goal he scored against Dortmund was insane, wasn't it? Like he had no right to.
Cancelo,
any other player couldn't get their leg up that high. You know,
the thing is, he's so tall and his legs are so long as well. He just managed to stretch and get it on the end of it, and that's what is scary. Is that he doesn't just use his head; he uses all of his body to score most of his goals.
Yeah.
I also do think, though, because that was so good, it kind of overlooks the first goal because that strike from a centre back was unbelievable.
That's a screamer, wasn't it, from John Stones?
Yeah.
He don't score rubbish goals, does he, John Stones? Cool. So, Ray, if you had to pick someone for this weekend, would you go for the same, or is there someone different?
I might make myself quite unpopular. But I think Tottenham play Leicester, right?
Yeah.
And Leicester looks shocking this year. Absolutely shocking. I've seen them live twice now. And they are terrible. So I think there could be goals in that game.
I think he could get the sack this week, honestly.
Yeah. I think he might. I'll just say Kane because he starts up front for him, but I mean, it's not that they're necessarily brilliant because they're really struggling at the moment, but Leicester just look awful. And
I agree.
I know they brought that player in at the back, but I don't know whether he's going to settle straight away.
Not going to fix everything, there, isn't it? It's more problems.
I can't imagine so. No.
Who would I like? I think I would go for. I think someone like Foden or Mahrez, if he's fit, it'd be one. I think it's going to be one of those weekends. In the Arsenal game, I think Saka. I think he's going to. Obviously, got a bit of confidence back from getting the goal against United. I know we didn't win, but he's had his break and he's had a week off, so everyone can stop moaning.
Needs more than a week.
I think he does and he don't, because with Saka, he can end up playing 30, 40 games, but the best players do. So this is the argument I don't understand. Because, when I'm not comparing them to these players, but when Messi, Ronaldo, De Bruyne, all that were younger, they're still playing 30, 40 games.
Yes, but then you've got the counter argument of when some of these players do play, you have, I don't want to go and use the excessive, but when Arsenal were going for the league in 2007, 2008, we had Eduardo up front. All it took is one bad injury, and that's completely wrecked his career. So you don't kind of want...
But that could happen with anyone.
Well, yeah.
See, I think our only saving grace is that he's going to get at least the Carabao Cup and the Europa League as a rest because we've got options there to put. So he's only going to have to play, really, the league.
Did he play against Zurich?
No.
No, Marquinhos did, didn't he?
Right, so that's what I mean. So he's had longer than a week then. He's had over just under 2 weeks off then.
Yeah.
I
think we just need to... sorry, mate.
I
think
we
need to chill out with Saka a little bit because, I mean, let's be honest, he certainly carried us last season and a bit the season before. Now teams have sort of worked him out a little bit. They're putting 3 players on him, but you can see our other attacking players. They're still scoring. Ødegaard's got a few goals. So is Martinelli and Jesus as well. So if they weren't firing, and then we're relying on Saka, then I would be concerned. But because everyone else is chipping in, I've got no issues or worries with him at the moment.
I just think, when they say, he needs a rest and all that, so he's going to be burnt out. Well, why don't anyone else say that about other players? Your best players play all the time, don't they? I don't remember anyone hearing that saying that about Fabregas when he was 18 years old.
I think at the time, though, you looked at that midfield, who did we have? We had Denilson,
Comparing Denilson to
Abu Diaby, and I can't even remember that midfield. That was so. We had Wilshere. No, Wilshere wasn't breaking in at that time.
This is my point. Like when, like if you didn't have Fabregas, you had Denilson. Like no disrespect to Denilson, but even no Fabregas. Or like,
but I hear what Matt's saying. I mean, we're sort of emotionally scarred by losing our key players to injury every season. It feels like, doesn't it? So
we just don't want to see him mismanaged. Like we've seen it with a few players in the past. Some that could have gone on and made themselves real legends, and then they've just come up at the end. So it's just, I think it's that, not a fear, but it's just a concern that people have.
Yeah, I do get the fear.
We've kind of got options, haven't we? Because if he really did need a rest, there's nothing stopping us putting Jesus on that side and then playing Nketiah up front. We have got kind of options. It's not.
You've got Reece Nelson coming back.
You know what? I would actually say give Marquinhos a go out on that far side, just because everyone will be like, "Oh, we're playing Arsenal. Oh, Saka's going to be on the right side," and then all of a sudden, "Oh, Saka's not in the squad."
He'll be a bit of an unknown, won't he? To be honest,
I do think people forget that when Reece Nelson does come back, he's going to be extra fired up because he's playing for his future. I'm not saying he's a Saka replacement at all, but there is. It's not like it's just Saka and that's it. And I honestly believe in January, if they can, they know what they need to do. It just didn't work out the way they wanted it. They need
the right wing.
They know they needed a right winger and a central midfielder. They tried to do it with Neto and Luiz. So if you're bringing in someone like that, then Saka's going to get his rest. Like, I get the fear and I get that, but I think people proper get paranoid about it just because we've had a few injuries that it's happened. Like, realistically, it's only who's it happened to? Wilshere and.
We could say now it's also happening to Smith Rowe. Every 5 minutes he's there, and then the next 5 minutes he's not. He's out injured for some reason.
Well, I mean, but Saka's a special player. Like I think Saka's in that bracket. If you're just talking about Arsenal, he's in that Fabregas and Wilshere bracket for me. Mm-hmm. Like Smith Rowe's not at that level yet. Smith Rowe's a very good player, but Saka is. I don't know if you agree, Ray, but I think it's a complete different level when Saka turns it on.
Yeah,
I do agree. Man City, Real Madrid, any of those teams. Easily.
They'll be interested in him once, this is why we got to sort out his contract. So it might be another conversation, but it's why we got to sort out his contract pretty ASAP, isn't it? Because those bigger clubs will definitely be looking at him.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, we've got 2 games a week pretty much, haven't we, up until the World Cup?
Yeah.
So certainly play him in the Prem games. I agree with you. He's got to play pretty much majority of minutes in that. And let the other players, the Marquinhos, the Reece Nelsons, those sorts of players audition in the cups.
If you look at it, it's not vital that we win any of the cups. At the end of the day, if you got to the end of the season and you said you haven't won a cup but you got 4th place, that's the aim. So we have got that option this year in trying out different players, I think, in the cups.
The only game I play in Europa League is the PSV ones, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of them, you don't need to play them. Like, I'm not being rude. We should be winning every single game in our group. The only one that's going to test us is PSV. Zurich won't test, well, I'll say that, but shouldn't test us at the Emirates. Same as Bodo or Bodo Baggins, whatever they're called. And PSV, it'll be it won't be an easy game, but it's a test, and that's what.
I mean, we've even got Brighton.
Yeah,
sorry, George. We've even got Brighton in the Carling Cup, not Carling Cup, Carabao Cup, isn't it? So I'd even rest in for that. I know they're a Premier League side, and certainly they're
Brighton are not going to be the Brighton that they was.
We don't
lost their manager now, haven't they?
Yeah, Potter's a huge loss for them.
Definitely.
But cool. So we spoke about that a bit longer than we should. That's normally happens with Arsenal. We'll go into the Premier League talk. So the first couple of games, I think Matt was saying, we've got Southampton versus
Villa.
And
Fulham.
Fulham. So for me, I think Villa still need to carry on and get a win, because I know they got their point against City, but it's still a long way for Gerrard and that. What do you think, Sam?
See, I don't think it's going to be a game that's going to have lots of goals. I don't think it's going to be a game that's one team walks away with it. I can see Southampton nicking it like a 2-1 or 1-0, but I don't think it's going to be, well, certainly not a game I'll be rushing to watch at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening.
Right, it's EastEnders ain't on, so you'll be all right.
The Arsenal women are, though, so that's one.
Yeah, I will be there. So yeah, I think with Southampton, they've got a young team, haven't they? So it's a bit up and down what Southampton you're going to see. That's another player that we didn't mention in the England squad. I don't know how Kyle Walker-Peters didn't get in. Behind, if Luke Shaw's getting in ahead of him, then there's the But what do you think, Matt? Because obviously you follow Southampton quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think you're just relying on one team to slip up, and so just going through the past couple of games. So I'll go from the back last three. So Southampton lost at home to United 1-0, beat Chelsea 2-1, and then lost again to Wolves 1-0. So and then you've got Villa, who lost 1-0 to West Ham, then lost to Arsenal 2-1, and then drew to Man City. So it's a case of which one of these teams are you going to see play. I have a feeling that Southampton are going to, although it's at Villa Park, I think Southampton will be up for that game, and they'll give them a good go. I think Southampton will probably get that win.
Talking about Villa, the one person I do feel sorry for, come to you, Ray, about this as well, is Ollie Watkins. Because I think he's an absolute brilliant. I'd have had him as our backup striker at Arsenal, but he's really, really good. But it's just not clicked for him. And then now, technically, he's not in the England squad, is he?
No,
I think it's...
So now he's lost his place. So it's a bit shit for him.
Yeah, I agree with you, George. I think I do rate Ollie Watkins. I think he's a good Premier League striker. He just looks bang out of form, doesn't he? I don't even know if Villa have actually won a game yet this season. I don't feel like they have. I know they've got that point against City, which for them probably would feel like a win.
No, that's the Bournemouth game.
No, they won against Everton on the opening day of the season. I haven't won a game since.
Okay, fair enough. But do you know what I mean? They're sort of bang out of form, aren't they?
Yeah.
And again, Gerrard's. I hear a lot of pressure on Steven Gerrard. Yeah. And a lot was expected when he went in there, wasn't it? Because he seemed to do quite well at Rangers. So I don't know. They sort of have players that do, dribs and drabs, look all right in moments, but I don't think they're really playing.
What I find with Villa is that all their players have gone out of form at the same time.
Yeah.
Like Coutinho, Danny Ings,
Buendia, all these sorts of players,
they all click. They're a good top 10 team.
I mean, even players like John McGinn in midfield,
Oh yeah.
I think he's a decent
even
player.
Matty Cash, we're not like Luca Dean, like all the hype about him.
Yeah.
And I think he's bang average, Luca Dean. To be fair, and Matty Cash, I think he was one of the best fullbacks.
Yeah, and I think
last season at one time.
Definitely, and I mean with going back to Ollie Watkins as well, I think where they also have Danny Ings, who's a different type of striker, but still can score at least double figures in the Prem, in my opinion. If Ollie Watkins isn't doing it by a certain time, he's straight off, isn't he? And then Danny Ings is on, or vice versa. So maybe he doesn't get a full
Danny
game.
Ings don't look like himself. Like he ain't the Danny Ings. I know people say I was Southampton, but he was still banging in 10, 15 plus goals at Southampton.
Yeah, but I just think where they're struggling, that when they get to a certain time in the game, whether it's 55 minutes or 60 or whatever, and they haven't scored, I think Gerrard's is just hooking them straight away, you know.
I'm surprised they don't play both. I really am.
Yeah, I am. It just shows that coming from the Scottish League is like coming from the Sunday League to the Premier League, doesn't it? Like showing.
I think if you're heavily talented, it works sometimes. Like we've seen with players, it works. Like obviously you've seen Tierney, Robertson, Van Dijk, because everyone forgets Van Dijk come from the Scottish League.
Yeah.
Them sort of players. I'm trying to think of someone else. It's gone out mad at me. But then you look at then you look at the other side of it and look at Odsonne Edouard at Crystal Palace. So
yeah.
It all depends on what. I think with Gerrard, I don't know. Do I think he's a good manager? I'm not sure. I know he done stuff at Rangers, but what everyone seems to forget at Rangers, Celtic were rebuilding as well. The amount of players that Celtic lost, and then he done well to win a title in Rangers at Rangers, but.
Yeah, I mean, they spent a lot of money.
Van Bronckhorst, he's getting battered every week now. So
but don't forget, at the time, he could have quite easily turned around and said no, and he could have quite easily focused on trying to keep Rangers going for the European glory and bringing back those glory days that they've had in the past. And
maybe he wanted to test himself.
Yeah, but
let's be real, Scottish League ain't a test, is it? Unfortunately,
just for me, it was just one of those things. I think he came at the wrong time. And now he's being found out. It's a bit similar to Chris Wilder at Sheffield United. Like after that first season, they didn't change anything, and because they didn't change anything, it got found out, and then they got relegated.
I think Villa is a bit of a dodgy place to go though as well, because you look at it. They had Dean Smith before, like if you realistically go back through the time, their best managers ain't been. Their glory days have been when they had like Martin O'Neill, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When they were challenging for Europe. So I don't know with Gerrard, I
just think Villa have spent a lot of money
and that's what's gone against him.
There's that pressure on him, isn't there?
Yeah,
you know, it's
definitely.
not like he's managing Bournemouth or something who, trying to punch it well above their weight.
What Lampard's doing, I don't think there's no pressure. Like I don't understand the pressure on Lampard, if I'm honest.
There's a lot of pressure. I'll talk about Everton when we come to it.
But I think if Gerrard's in a position in a job like that, or even if Gerrard is at Leicester now, I don't think he'd be under as much pressure as he is at Villa.
Yeah.
Just because, like you said, Ray, they spent God knows how much money. And when your club spends loads of money, you have questions are asked by the fans to the manager.
I mean, Ollie Watkins is a 35 million striker. I think they spent 40 million on Buendia.
That's the
20 million or so on.
Like obviously, we were going for Buendia, and I was so glad we didn't.
Yeah, we dodged a bullet there, I think.
Yeah. Watkins, I really like Ollie Watkins. I liked him at Brentford, and I'd love to see Watkins at Arsenal. I know there's Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, he's not good enough," but for me, he's an England international. At the end of the day, he scored, I think, and when he's on form, he's a really good striker. So, but then
he's caused us plenty of problems, hasn't he?
Yeah, the players Villa have got those. Some of them are really mid-rate Premier League caliber.
But then some of them but quite a few of them I would consider taking in my team if we were given the option to. So this is what I don't get, is that some of them you would actually take in your team, but for some reason they can't all play together. It's so bizarre, and I say that every week. It's just so odd.
See, for me, like if you're working out what Villa levels they want to be at, top 8, you'd say, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, if that squad's firing easily.
Out the top 8, how much of Villa's players would you have in your team? At Arsenal, there's probably 2. 2.5.
there was a couple. There's a couple that I'd have that you don't particularly I know you wouldn't agree with, but there's certainly some of the players that I would happily take in my team.
We'll go briefly. We'll go around. So me personally, I'd have Watkins as backup striker to Jesus and Nketiah. I think Douglas Luiz would do a really good job. And the half, who I'm not sure if he was on form, is Matty Cash. Just if we're needing a right back. I don't think there's anyone else there that I'd have at Arsenal.
No, to be fair, I agree with Sam. I think there's a lot of players at Villa I'd take. I'd take McGinn. I'd take Douglas Luiz. I'd probably take Jacob Ramsey in midfield.
I forgot about him. Sorry, 3.5. I'd take Ramsey.
I agree with you, George. I'd take Matty Cash as I don't know whether he'd start instead of Tomiyasu or Ben White, but
he'd be a good cover, wouldn't he? That's more.
Yeah.
There's definitely none of their centre halves I'd take. We had to give them one of ours. So
no, the centre halves don't come into the picture, but the other ones you mentioned, I'd certainly have Kamara because I think in a team that he's supported in, he would look really good. Like you said, Douglas Luiz, but they both kind of play the same position. A few people I know would say Bailey, but I'm not sure about that one. I'm a big fan of Digne, so I would definitely have Digne.
I just don't think he's done nothing at Villa to warrant the hype for me.
Yeah, I just think he's one of these players that's really consistent. You never kind of see or hear of him having a bad game.
He ain't had a good one at Villa yet. Unless he's not the Digne that was at Everton.
No,
I swear at Everton he was getting goals and assists.
Yeah,
he was scoring, free kicks and stuff.
He was like Ben Chilwell at Everton.
His foot was over the line when he got that assist for the throw in.
Just so you know, West Ham are 3-1 up now.
I also think that I would have Buendia if, again, he was supported in the right team. All these players are good players, but they're not supported with players.
But what you got to think of, Sam, like I respect that, but are they better than what we've got?
Yeah, no, not if you look at it like, for example, when I said Digne or I said him, they wouldn't go in above what we've already got. I'm just saying if we had the option to get them, I would consider it.
Like Buendia, I don't know. He's nowhere near like what side does he play on? Buendia, is he the left?
Well, he's more. I see him more as like an attacking midfielder. So
yeah, I just don't. I think there's about 4 or 5 players better than him at Arsenal. We're just saying Arsenal, but like none of them would definitely get in Man City's. So I'd say Liverpool, maybe Douglas Luiz because they're shocking at the minute.
Yeah.
Tottenham, unfortunately, I don't think. Maybe Watkins would. What I mean is, I know what we're saying that Villa should be aiming high, and they should. Like as football fans, you don't want to see Aston Villa one of the biggest teams, whatever anyone says historically. You don't want to see them like flourishing behind Tottenham, do you? So I don't like.
I mean, they're better than one win all season, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they're better than what they are. Like where they are is as well. Like, and like when I'm seeing people like Tyrone Mings and all that, and the other one, what's his name, Konsa. That like, I do agree. Around the right players, they're a good side. But are they at that level where they would be competing for European places? As a team now, no. And I think they'd have to bring in 3 or 4 higher rated players. Like Coutinho, when he first came over, he was doing really well for them. But then he's done what Coutinho done as soon as he left Liverpool.
Yeah. Don't forget they've got Emi Martinez as well.
Yeah.
So, whatever we think about him, he's a good Premier League keeper. So
yeah. That's what I mean. The players they've got are not crap. Like, so
no, they're not at all.
I just wonder if they're higher rated. There's a word for it, and I can't think what the word is, but I don't mean elite players. But I think the Premier League split into sections for me at the moment. So you have the top. Like at the moment, you have City, and then everyone. But you have like the top sort of 3-4. Then you have the Europa League and Conference League spots. Then you have 10th to 14th. Then you have the relegation spots for me. Like there's players that play for teams now, and you think, how are they where they are? Like Anthony Gordon is an example, and even when he was fit, I don't know if Matt you'll agree, is Livramento. I don't know how he was at Southampton. Like, I thought he was really good.
And that was one of the things as well, is that it was just one of those deals that went completely under the radar. No one knew about him. But Southampton have a great transfer policy. They buy in young. At the moment, we've seen it with some of the City players. But
Southampton City now.
They've always got this plan. They've got a plan in place. So if any of those players that in that starting 11, I'm not going to use James Ward-Prowse as an example because there's no one that they could really replace.
I don't even know how he's still at Southampton.
He's Southampton through and through.
Yeah, but that's the only I respect him for that. What I mean is if because I don't know, I'm not an agent. If no one's come in for him, that baffles me. Really does, because of the set. I don't know. Is there anyone else who's been as good as him as an English player on set pieces since Beckham?
Our silence speaks volumes.
I struggle. Maybe Trippier, maybe.
Trippier. Controversially, maybe Trent's had his moments, but I don't think he's been as consistent as Ward-Prowse.
There's no one as. That's
what we were crying out for in the World Cup, wasn't it? And the Euros was those a decent set piece taker in the midfield, and instead he takes Jordan Henderson, who's too busy passing backwards and forwards.
God, Matt loves a bit of Hendo.
Yeah, so much so. I'd chuck him.
Would you have him at Arsenal, Matt?
No.
So we'll quickly move on to
put him in a retirement home and send him off to Sunderland.
Yeah, he's already been there. We'll quickly move on to the Forest Fulham game. So, obviously, it's going to be the Forest are going to bounce back, aren't they, Ray? After losing to, I don't know how they lost to Bournemouth. No,
that was mental, wasn't it?
At one time.
Yeah, I mean, again, they brought in a lot of players, didn't they? And spent a lot of money
only 22.
Forest. Only the 22 new players. So they've got to have time to gel, I guess. But you don't get time in the Prem, do you? That's the harsh reality of it. It's brutal. So I think I don't know. If you say they're playing Fulham, yeah. You'd think with two promoted teams,
actually a good side this season.
Well, this is it. You'd think two promoted teams they'd match their chances, but certainly with Mitrovic and the form he's been in, and the way they set up Fulham, they're going to be a really tricky side. So, I struggle to call that one, to be honest.
Yeah. Do we have any comments, Sam, or not?
We do not.
Okay, cool. If you guys are watching, remember to keep commenting in the chat, and if you want to put your predictions, feel free as well. So I'll come to you, Matt. Matt, with Fulham. I think it's a different Fulham, isn't it? Like, you've got Marco Silva as a Fulham manager, and you compare him to the Scott Parker Fulham. They actually know how to play football now, don't they?
Yeah, and Marco Silva's, I think he's been allowed to reinvent himself after the fiasco that he had with Everton. Just looking at all their results, it's only been a goal in it. So their win against Brentford 3-2, the loss to Arsenal 2-1, the win against Brighton was 2-1, the loss to Tottenham was 2-1, whereas Forest have had a very mixed bag. The lost last time to Bournemouth 3-2, lost 6-0 to City, lost 2-0 to Tottenham, drew 1-1 with Everton, and then beat West Ham on the opening day of the season. It's going to be one of those games where I think you're either going to see a tight draw, maybe a 1-1, or it'll be one of those games where everything goes in that can, like we had against Fulham and Forest.
Yeah. What do you think about the game, Sam?
I think it's going to be a close one. I see it being much like the other game of this night, quite tight, not many in it. To be fair, I could potentially see it a draw.
Cool. I think it all depends how both teams set up. I think it could be actually a really good game. Nottingham Forest against Fulham were decent games in the Championship last season as well. So I know we've got a complete different squad at Forest, but they've actually signed Serge Aurier, haven't they? I saw that the other week. It's a name from the past. But they are buying Premier League sort of experience, so they are trying to do it the right way. I just think they've done far too much, and if they don't stay up now, that reminds me of. Do you remember when Leeds were so in debt when they got relegated? So
I mean, it was like 150 odd mil, wasn't it? They spent. It might even be more.
Yeah, that's ridiculous
for a newly promoted team that hasn't been in the Prem for 20 years. It's quite staggering, really, isn't it? So
yeah. So yeah, we'll move on to the Saturday games because we've only just on Friday there. So we've got
Wolves City, first one.
We have Wolves City. Matt, do you think Wolves have got any chance?
The only chance they will have is because they've now got the secret weapon of Costa Coffee, who's now signed for them. So
the elephant man.
Are we gonna see the Costa of just going around and just bullying every defender in sight, or are we going to see a City team that are going to be resilient and just elbow him in the face every 5 minutes to keep him shut up? So, but I think we see City winning that quite easily. I don't know what it is with Wolves this season. They just really odds again, winning or losing by the odd goal. But I just think City, because City are another level, City are going to win this. It could be 3 or 4.
Yeah. What about you, Ray?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think City will win. It's interesting with the going back to the England thing very quickly. I would have liked to see Max Kilman potentially get a call up if we are testing players out. So I'm kind of surprised he didn't get a shout.
He ain't no worse than Maguire or Gahey, is he?
Well, no, big 6'3", left-footed centre half. It might be quite a good option. But anyway, I think City will win. I think it will be maybe 2-0, something like that. I don't think they'll blitz them because Wolves, they are quite resilient. Did anyone see or hear about Diego Costa's unveiling on Twitter, by the way? Because that was
what happened?
So they actually unveiled him, and he was standing in the dark, and he was holding chains with actual 3 wolves attached to him.
Oh my god!
It was so cheesy, but it made me laugh.
Wow!
It was like something out of a horror film. Generally, when you get the chance, go and have a look at it because it did make me chuckle.
I can't stand Costa. I remember when he done the battles he had with Gabriel Polister.
Yeah, and Rob Holding.
Like you just want to kick his head in, wouldn't you?
Per Mertesacker just pocketing him for the FA Cup final.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, he must be like 30, 36,
35,
something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say 35, 36. I'm not sure which it is.
Surely he ain't going to be starting like. I don't know what that says about Jimenez though. Like that's one player who died.
Yeah,
I know he had that horrific head injury, but for me, he was a really good striker.
It must it must kind of unsettle him a bit and think, where do I actually stand in this squad if they're having to sign a 35-year-old washed up once striker?
Incredible Hulk, yeah.
Yeah, he must think, well, where does that leave me?
Yeah, it puts questions in. It depends what way you look at it. He could push him to get better or go the other way, couldn't it?
Yep.
So Sam, do you think Guardiola will rotate, or do you think he'll?
Well, I don't think in City's terms it's even called rotate, is it? Because the players he's got to rotate, they're half as good as he's already got. So it's hardly even rotating; it's just doing a slight switch. But yeah. To be fair, I don't see many in it. Maybe 2, possibly 3-0. I think they'll have Costa in the back pocket. They'll be well equipped to deal with him.
Yeah, I agree. I think City will get easy win, get up and running again. Because what was the last game they played?
The Villa game, wasn't it?
Yeah, so obviously they don't want to be dropping points again.
No,
especially when the mighty Arsenal top of the league open up a gap.
So they got to put some pressure on us now, haven't they?
Yeah,
City,
exactly.
So.
We signed Zinchenko and Jesus and nick all the title pressure. So moving on to the 5:30 game, we have to talk about.
You've missed a game.
Newcastle.
Missed the mighty Newcastle.
Newcastle who?
Bournemouth.
Okay, so we'll quickly do one go round. Mm-hmm. Newcastle or Bournemouth, Matt?
Newcastle.
What score?
I'll go 1-0. Be safe.
Okay, Sam?
2-1 Newcastle.
What about you, Ray?
I'll probably say 3-1 Newcastle and the Eddie Howe derby.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Isak's got to start. He's got a certain score, isn't he, I suppose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's an Eddie Howe derby, but it's everyone else's derby as well, isn't it? Like Matt Ritchie, Callum Wilson. I know he's injured, but
yeah. Who else? Ryan Fraser. Yeah.
They might as well just share kit.
It's only one colour off, isn't it?
Bibs and shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Swap shirts. Oh, mate, I've already swap shirts now, so I've already got a Bournemouth one. So yeah, then we'll go to them lot against Leicester. Unfortunately, I don't see anything else but a Tottenham win because, like Ray said, Leicester are absolutely shocking. They don't look like they're going to get a win from anywhere. But then I know Tottenham are not playing that well. They look very flat. A lot of Tottenham fans I've heard have been complaining. Obviously, they had Champions League. They played in Champions League, which was quite sporting of them.
Hey.
I had to get that in. The one that don't look in good form, and as an Arsenal fan, it kind of worries me a little bit because you know he's going to turn up in a few weeks. Is Son. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, like I sort of alluded to earlier, I think it's sort of the perfect game for Son, really. Out of form, go running at whoever Leicester have at right back. I can't even think.
Probably Castagna.
Probably Castagna or Daniel Amate or someone like that.
You're like him. Go home, mate.
Yeah, but I think
or James Justin. Sorry.
Or James Justin, yeah, forgot about him. But then he's been out for the best part of the season, hasn't he? So, I think that lot will probably win it, maybe 2-0, something like that. Having said that, they have got players like James Maddison who can do something out of nothing, but it's they're so bad at the back that even if he does score,
it for them, doesn't it? It's like they've got Maddison, they've got Vardy that 8 out of 10 times he's going to score if he gets given that chance. Even Daka and Iheanacho, but when you know your team's probably going to concede 2 or 3, it's like you have to take every chance, and that's not practical in Premier League.
No, absolutely not. So
you only got Danny Ward.
Unfortunately, I will have to say that lot win it 2-0.
Yeah. What do you think, Sam?
Well, the less we talk about, the better, really, isn't it? I think they'll win unless they go to 90 odd minutes and concede 2 again in added time. That could always happen.
No, it won't happen against Leicester because the referee will play until Tottenham score again, won't they?
Yeah, to be fair, Leicester to score would be somewhat of a miracle, wouldn't it?
Tottenham are not that like they're confident, really. Like they when you see him, what's his name, Clement Longbelly or
Long way.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So he don't look great, and he got Davinson Sanchez, and everyone knows how great he is. So the Tottenham can be got at. It's just the team that can get at them can be got at double the amount as well. So I think Tottenham will win easy, but I don't know. Leicester are weird. It's just I think Schmeichel's a huge loss to them, and the players they've lost, they've just not replaced.
Yeah,
and they've got players who don't want to be there.
Yeah, I think they only brought one player in. Again, I might be wrong on that, but
they brought two players in. They brought the centre half and they brought Alex Smithies in. So like he's obviously going to make them a lot better, isn't he?
All right, so one outfield player at least.
Huddersfield region.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got to replace Fofana, who's a 70-odd million player to Chelsea. So, yeah, I don't know. Just like I said, I've seen Leicester live twice now this season, and they just look terrible. Really do.
Do you think they can go down?
I think they could do, but I think they'll sack Rodgers at least before Christmas. And depending, obviously, who they get in, I think they'll be all right because they can score goals, they just can't defend. That's their biggest issue.
I'll ask you that then, Matt. So if Rodgers got the sack, who would you bring in?
Well, you're not going to ask Scott Parker to come in, are you?
No.
Money to.
He might probably too busy upsetting people.
I think this is always the problem, isn't it? Leicester have always been a project team. They haven't been a team that just go and try and place things. There's always a step or a project, and that project is now in. So perhaps that was the problem, is that there was no direction, and that's why Kasper Schmeichel and a lot of the others have decided that they want to leave.
Yeah.
So it's looking for someone that's willing to come in and do a project. Now,
what about Dyche?
That's a good shout, because I think Sean Dyche will probably install a decent defence with them. Yeah. And he already knows that Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy and Perez and Maddison already there. He's got a great attacking side, and then it's just trying to just say, look, I think the best thing they could do actually is sack Rodgers, or say to Rodgers, right, you're leaving just before the World Cup starts. So then the new manager can come in. If it is Sean Dyche, let's say, he then has that amount of time with the rest of the players that aren't going to be there. He can then install, and then by Boxing Day, they know what they're doing inside and out. And I think
I think Dyche won't be a bad shout, really. Like defensively, they're.
It's what they need, isn't it? I mean, at first
when
you said it, George, I thought you were joking.
Up.
Yeah, no, thinking about it does make a lot of sense.
It's just whether he would do it, and he'd have more money at Leicester. Well, I wasn't say that, but you'd think he'd have more money at Leicester than he did at Burnley. And look what he done. He done miracles at Burnley. Like, I hate Burnley with a passion, but what he done with them, that's fantastic management. Like, probably one of the best English managers we've had in the Premier League in recent history. To be fair, there's not, I
can't think of Sorry, George, I can't think of Burnley spending over 15-20 mil on a player.
No.
Maybe Chris Wood or Weghorst, but other than that, I can't think of any other signings that cost mega money. And for a club like that, at that size, he kept him in the league for ages, didn't he? So.
Well, yeah, and I just think, who else would you want? You need to stay up. He's done that. You need to build a defence. He's done that. Apart from that, who's available now? Apart from
they're free to Southgate. He'll get him defending well.
I thought you were going to say Sam Allardyce.
Harry Redknapp, get him in. Get Sandra in as the assistant. But I don't know. I like Dyche, and he's had his break as well. I know we're looking just at English managers here because obviously it's hard for us to comment on European managers, but for what they need. Like, I know people spoke about Brighton with a new manager. I don't see Sean Dyche there. I just don't. I might be wrong.
They don't have that same
Leicester thing.
I think Brighton will try and get a manager off the continent, someone that we've never heard of from like the Belgium league or something. And
because they want to play that flamboyant football, don't they? So,
yeah.
I
think if they got Dyche in, they'd. Yeah, I think if they got Dyche in, they'd have to completely change.
I was going to say, go the Leeds man, sort of like a Jesse Marsh sort of character, that American, and go American coach in football. The last
he reminds me. I don't know if you guys have heard him talk, but obviously not being able to see him, he enough sound like Jim Carrey. Like when you hear Jesse Marsh talk, and like when he kicks off, I'm just like, it's like Bruce Almighty's.
I'm only going to be able to hear Jim Carrey now. You said that.
So whenever he talks, you just realise it's Bruce Almighty. It's the mask, the Eggman. Right, so we'll move on to Sunday on the last two games. I'm going to swap it around because obviously we are all Arsenal on here, because obviously the Man United fans are not come on like Abdi because he's been so busy watching the mighty United play the mighty Sheriff tonight. So congratulations to them. That was a really hard game. So West Ham, Everton, Matt, we'll start with you because you're like the roving reporter when it comes to Everton.
Yeah,
they're doing all right. Like they played well against Liverpool, didn't they? And got a point. So how do you think they'll do against West Ham?
Yeah, it's a difficult one now because now they've lost Pickford. They've lost that big figure in goal. They've got Begovic. They've also got the new goalkeeper as well.
Is he still playing?
Yes, unfortunately.
He's about 60.
There is now that new goalkeeper that they brought in on an emergency, Janokovic, who's another 37-year-old Bosnian. So it doesn't really bode well when you're relying on. No, I know age is just a number, and you have people like Buffon still playing in the Serie B, but at 37-year-old and you're coming into the Premier League is not a good sign. West Ham have just come through a really tough time at the moment, but if I was to look at Everton, I'd say it's a difficult game because you're going to have pressure on you. Lampard at the moment, he's only got 4 points from a possible 6, and a lot of them have been. So the last 4 games, they've all been draws.
Yeah.
Apart from that, so there's a little bit of luck, but he needs to get that win on the board, and that will ease the fans a little bit because they should be realistically aiming higher than they can be, but it's just not going well. So they need to keep going, keep working hard, and they'll do the same. But I have a feeling that this one could end up being the same.
Is DCL back yet, or is he not? Is he still injured?
No, he's still injured.
I know they said he was coming back into training, so I didn't know if he was back.
I still can't believe how he got injured as well. So I think I tell this story every time I'm on, but basically they were doing a passing drill. I think Rondo's even he goes and passes the ball, and then the next minute he's on the floor, collapsed. And it was just.
Turns out so he should be training with like Diaby and Wilshere.
It's just one of those stories that you just couldn't write or hear about. It was just unbelievable. And
now, do you remember the Valencia goalkeeper? I don't know if you guys will. Santiago Canizares. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
I remember he got injured because he dropped shaving foam bottle on his toe getting out of the shower. And he was just before he's going to play, which shows how long ago it was. This was at Highbury. He was just about to play against Arsenal for Valencia when they had Pablo Aimar and people like that. And I was like, that's got to be the weirdest injury I've ever heard.
Kieran Tierney got injured.
Oh yeah, Tierney's one. Didn't he? Getting out of the shower as well, didn't
he? It's very rare that things like that
just don't have showers, guys. Basically, just use a bath. If you're a professional footballer.
Probably one of the reasons why they say have an ice bath now after games.
So frozen they can't injure themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, also with Everton, so obviously they managed to keep Gordon. I think that's massive for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's important that they keep hold of Anthony Gordon. I know when we were talking about it with Hubert, and he was saying he doesn't understand why that Chelsea were going for him. In terms of how good he is, the Everton fans love him. He was.
Is he actually from Everton?
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand he was a lot of that driving force behind how they got they stayed up. It wasn't just Richarlison. Anthony Gordon was he was their playmaker. He was the one making things happen. He was the one roaring the crowd on. He was just making things from nothing to at least half a chance at times. And I think he would have probably turned his head, but I think at the same time, I think he was being sensible and saying, you know what, not this time. Maybe another season or maybe another 2. But I think the problem at the moment with Everton is obviously with Calvert-Lewin not in there. They've had to go and find another striker. They've ended up with another winger again in Dwight McNeil, who can play up front, but it's not.
They've got more pay as well, wouldn't they?
And more pay, yeah. I don't think you'd really want to buy if you were looking at a striker and you saw the list that was on the free agent list. There was Cavani. I think it was Belotti as well. That was there.
Yeah, I'm surprised more teams didn't go for Belotti.
And it was just one of those things that you thought you could have got someone for free, and instead of buying, I can't remember, was it 17 million in the end?
It's a lot of money.
I know Everton were in a pickle because of the money situation, a bit similar to Leicester, but not as bad. But they did need someone in, so at least they've got someone instead of having no one. And then in January, panic buying again, like they did last season.
Yeah. I'll come to you, Ray. So obviously they're playing West Ham. Mm-hmm. They've had a really hit and miss season so far, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
especially with Conference League games and.
Yeah, I've got the West Ham game on just in the background. Actually, they're 3-1 up in that, but they're a weird side, aren't they? Because they brought in that big Italian bloke, Scamacca, up front.
He scored tonight again, didn't he?
Yeah, but he hasn't really hit it off in the Prem just yet, has he?
I think West Ham play different for some reason in the Premier League. What they do in Europe, they'd send.
Yeah, I mean,
attacking.
Again, it's the sort of what we talked about. Villa spending lots of money. They brought in Paqueta, haven't they, from Lyon?
Yeah,
so I know we were looking at as well. And again, I don't know whether it's just they're just trying to get them players to come in and gel, but yeah, in the Prem for some reason
Emerson as well, didn't they?
And Emerson as well, yeah. I know they were unlucky against Chelsea, weren't they? Because they should have got a point in that, and I think we talked about that on one of the last shows. But
and I think they were unlucky with the centre half they brought in who got injured straight away. Like I think he sounds like he's a decent centre half, so they've been having to play Aaron Cresswell and Ben Johnson at centre half at some times, and you're thinking, that's when you know you've got a small squad.
Yeah. But I mean, like Dawson and Kurt Zouma, just the sort of individuals. They're not terrible Premier League defenders, are they? So, if they can keep them fit, they think they'll be all right. But yeah, interesting season for West Ham. I don't think they'll finish as high as what they've done last year, but certainly on their day they can cause an upset and beat any team. So, especially at the London Stadium. So, I don't know. I think it'll be a score draw, maybe like a 2-2, something like that.
Just a quick one. Do you think that if the focus isn't on the Premier League, it's on the Conference League, do you think they're going to go and win it?
Quite possibly. I mean,
they've got a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of done that with the Europa League, didn't they? I know, obviously, their Premier League form was pretty good as well. But I feel like if you're West Ham and you're in any cup competition that you're one of the favourites for, then surely you've got to try and win it, right?
I don't think their fans care about where they finish. As long as they don't get relegated, I think they want trophies now.
I think if you said to a West Ham fan, you'll finish, 16th or 17th, but you'll win the Conference League, I think they'd, bite your hand off for that. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I reckon they'll finish a bit higher. I reckon they'll finish that mid-table, so about maybe 10.
I still think they'll get top 8, personally.
Yeah. I still think they'll be top half. It's just
I think the battle will be. I think they'll be battling with teams like Newcastle and like for maybe that Europa Conference League spot. Because as it stands so far, there's 6 teams. So obviously you have City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, and Tottenham. There's your top 6 already. Do I think they're going to get above any of them? No, not really. So Newcastle, West Ham could be battling for 7th. And I don't really know who else who would battle well, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know, because at the moment we're sort of so early in the season, isn't it? That
it's almost a long way to go.
Almost difficult to predict, isn't it? Who's going to be in amongst it?
10-game winning streak, and then you think,
and they're just in there, But let's see. In terms of this game, I think, like I say, I think it'll be a score draw. I'll go 2-2.
Yeah. So I'll come to you finally, Sam, before we go on to the Arsenal game.
Mm-hmm.
The player for me who's not really been hitting much form, and that is why West Ham have suffered, is Jarrod Bowen. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he was kind of there, kind of the bit last season that made everything tick almost. So yeah, without that, they kind of look a little bit short of options in terms of
Ben Rama. Don't do it for me.
Nah, it was just like his crosses was the reason why Antonio scored quite a few last season and why they scored so many goals. So I think you take that away and they struggle a little bit.
I think he's very lucky to be in the England squad ahead of Jadon Sancho, if I'm honest, like Bowen. So
I think he's just thinking he's probably just Sancho's probably one of them players again that's going to get in. I think he's probably just trying Bowen out to kind of suss whether it's worth considering him.
I should double check to see if Rashford was in that squad as well.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is, mate. No.
The only 2 Man United players in it, I think, are the 2 best.
Shaw and Maguire, which is baffling.
The Chuckle brothers. So, right, we'll move on. There's no comments, is there?
No, there isn't, no.
Okay. So, everyone's asleep. It's Thursday's a new Friday.
They've been watching the Man United game, haven't they?
Yeah, they're all watching Man United. They're all partying. Or watching West Ham beat, I don't know, they're playing Silborg, is it?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. It's better than Cyborg. So we'll go to the Arsenal-Brentford game. I'll start with you, Ray. Me personally, I think this is a massive test. Away at Brentford, we saw what they'd done last season. I think Brentford are a very good side. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those fixtures where we should get 3 points. Obviously, what happened last season at their ground, we need to just put that right, in my opinion. We didn't. Obviously, we weren't at our best. I'm not going to make excuses and say, we had all our players out or not. We still should have, got something from that game, in my opinion. But obviously, we were just completely outplayed. But I think the form that we've been in, and I think we need a reaction from the United game. I think we need to go out and win that. And I'll tell you what, if our defenders can keep Ivan Toney quiet, then I think we'll have a good afternoon. So I reckon maybe either 2-0, possibly 2-1.
I'll take that. Sam, I'll come to you. You can give me your opinion on the game also, but for me, I don't like criticising players when we've been playing so well. But for me, one person who's got to sort himself out is Gabriel. Don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah,
I better clarify the defender, Gabriel.
Yeah, I said this coming off the back of last season as well. He made a couple of stupid mistakes last season. And he needs to bring that out of his game because they're not like stupid little mistakes. They're stupid mistakes that cost you goals. So if he is gonna kind of, because I think we see it now. Now he's next to Saliba because Saliba hasn't, I don't think, made a mistake yet.
Yeah.
I think you see his mistakes because Saliba's just that player that doesn't make any. So yeah, I think so. He just needs to take it out of his game and use his head a little bit.
Well, I think with Gabriel as well is like he's not pulling up trees, but Ben White has been so steady. It just adds to why he ain't been picked for England. It's been so steady at right back for me. I think he's done really well.
I think he definitely gives himself a shout when Tomiyasu's back and fully fit.
Yes, that's what I mean. If Gabriel could be losing his spot to say something.
I definitely think Ben White's got a shout when Tomiyasu's fully fit and can play every game again.
Yeah. What do you think the score will be?
I don't think, again, there's going to be many goals in it. I don't think it's one that's going to be... 2-1's probably a good shout, to be fair. I'd take that all day long.
Yeah. Matt, obviously, everyone who knows Golden Goal and knows you know that you're an absolute massive fan of Brentford.
Brentford get battered everywhere they go.
Just to let Ray know, Matt absolutely hates Brentford.
You're not a fan?
Not a fan. Fake bees. There's only one bees in London and they play in the National Conference League.
So
it does. I'll tell you what. Sorry to butt in, but it does annoy me with Brentford that they don't actually have an academy. They just sort of take everyone else's good young players. That does wind me up.
I only knew that a few weeks ago. I weren't fully aware that. I thought they had like
yeah. So I mean, players like Josh Da Silva, for example, and I think
he was Arsenal, wasn't he?
He was Arsenal, yeah.
You know,
and they
I
just
remember
sort of
him playing in a Carabao Cup game actually. Josh Da Silva at Arsenal.
Yeah. They had another one as well. Thompson, I think, at left back. I don't know if he still plays for him, but
Dominic Thompson, isn't it?
Dominic Thompson, that's it. Yeah. But I mean, what they
Ivan Toney.
Well, yeah. I mean, what they lack in a youth academy, they certainly make up for in recruitment. So, listen, they're a very smartly run club. I actually agree with you, Matt. I don't actually really like Brentford that much. But let's see how it goes. Like I say, hopefully they succumb to the mighty Arsenal at the weekend, but we shall see.
Well, the last time we went there, effectively, the goal shouldn't have stood because effectively they were fouling the goalkeeper. So they got away with murder in that one. So I'm hoping that this time around that instead of relying on referee decisions, we actually go there and play as we should. I know the game against United, we didn't turn up. We decided to do that odd high press, and that's how United scored those 2 goals. But it's one of those things that happens, and it's small errors like that will cost you games, points at the end of it. So I think as well, the fact that they've had a break, they can reset. They've been able to reset. They can rearrange things. If Tomiyasu is fit, I take it he's not fit at the moment. He won't be coming in.
Don't think he's match fit.
Yeah, I think they're trying to kind of take him back.
He played against Zurich, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's the case, then the other thing I was thinking of, because they didn't have any games last season, I wonder if they decided to do any behind the door matches. So do like inter squads, like matches against each other, just to keep that match fitness up.
As far as I know, they've done like a 7-a-side.
Yeah.
And from what I was reading, when was that? What day is it today? Thursday. I think they've done that on Monday. Okay. So just like to keep people's fitness up. I think the only injuries we've actually got now are Smith Rowe and Elneny. Partey is expected to be back.
I would keep Partey on the bench at the moment because Xhaka and Lokonga, actually, that's a question in itself. Is Lokonga going to be able to deal with the physical presence of Brentford or not? Or are you going to have to rely on someone else to come in? It's going to have to... And as well, a lot of times this season, you've seen Arsenal rely on someone to come in. A lot of that time, I think it's Odegaard's got 3 goals this season.
Yeah.
When we needed him, he's going to be the one to step up. So it might, as well as Ray has said about trying to keep Ivan Toney quiet, you've got to. I think it'll be a game that
will Burmo quiet a bit as well.
Yeah,
I think that's where they'll target, though, isn't it? Where Lokonga plays in the 6. I think if they're going to get any joy out of us, I think that's where we need to just be a bit wary.
Yeah. I think he played all right against United, Sambi. In considering it's new for him, isn't it? What is he? 20, 21 years old?
Yeah.
21.
And I don't actually think he wasn't the worst player for us on the pitch against United.
He wasn't, but in that position, that's where you need experience in it. I mean, even Thomas Partey, it took him. I know he's injured, but it took him a good couple of seasons to really sort of perfect that role, in my opinion.
Yeah. See, what I would do is, I know Thomas Partey's just come back, but and I'll ask you guys afterwards. But about changes, I would start Partey, and then if you're in a position to take him off. Take him off. So after in the 65th minute, because let's be real, it's the last game he's going to play before he goes to international duty anyway. He was meant to be back for the Everton game, that got called off, so he's had an extra week. I think in these difficult away games, teams like Brentford, you've got to have as much experience as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think. I would maybe if he's fit, I would start Partey, and I would be tempted to drop Gabriel.
Yeah, fair shout.
And you move them over, if it's not Tomiyasu, Cedric might play, and then White, because maybe Gabriel thinks he's undroppable. I don't know.
I think he does a little bit at the minute. I think you're probably right in that. I think he's found this little partnership with Saliba, and he thinks that nothing can touch him now. Ben White's gone to right back, but I don't think that's the case. I think he's just as it is at the minute because of the situation we're in with players. I think Ben White.
I don't like to criticise him that much because he's been really good for us, but every player hits a bit of bad form. Or you don't even have to move White over. You could always bring Holding in, couldn't you? I forgot we still got Holding. So
I think with Gabriel though, one of the things is I know we touched on the errors he makes, but at the other end, he's certainly a goal threat, isn't he? I think he's scored quite a few goals for Arsenal.
Yeah.
He might even be one of the most top scoring centre backs in the league. I think.
I know he was last season. I know he was a top.
Yeah.
3 or 4 goals at something last season.
He got 6 last season.
6.
So where he makes mistakes at the back, he certainly bails himself out at the other end.
What was the commentary line? It was something like from 0 at one end to hero at the other.
Yeah, that was it.
And this is when we're talking about midfield as well, and I completely forgot that Zinchenko's back as well. So
that's what I was going to say.
Nice.
Perhaps it might be idea to maybe have Zinchenko in that mid.
And then you can have Tierney at left back, Zinchenko there, and then if it gets too much, you can swap them, can't you?
I don't think he'll drop Xhaka though, will he?
When was the last time that we had such a good versatility in the squad that we could turn around and go, oh, he can play there, he can play there, and we wouldn't have that much of an issue?
Yeah, I'm not worried. There's options. That's more what I think it is. I do think as the season goes on, I think because people were saying about Saka as well, you could see us change our formation and play 2 up front with Nketiah and Jesus. And then, because the way Vieira played against Zurich, I thought he played really well. So he's going to start getting into the game a bit more and playing more games. So there's definitely options. What I was thinking with Zinchenko, Ray, could he play in the 6th role?
I don't know about in the 6th role. I think he could play as an 8.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether he could play in front of the back 4. He tends to sort of drift a lot, doesn't he? By that, I mean, he sort of plays, he starts at left back, but he comes inside, he can go up and down. And defensively, I don't know about him playing there, but he can certainly play where Xhaka plays.
I definitely, for me, I know I said about Partey, but I wouldn't be dead against if I saw Sambi's name. I wouldn't be, oh God, like that, because I've listened to a lot of, I don't know if you guys listen to it, they're like podcasts on BBC where they talk about the Get European stuff. The amount of people that rave about what Sambi Lokonga is and how he's going to be a good player.
Yeah,
like they bang on. Like he's the best,
yeah,
like the hottest prospect in Belgian football, according to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly agree with that, George. It's just, as I said earlier, it's just, I think that's a real education, that position, you know.
Yeah.
And I can't. I think it would take him a couple of seasons to like master it. Certainly in certain games, yes, he's been brilliant, and I think he can certainly do a job there. But I don't think he can do the same job that a fully fit Thomas Partey can do.
No,
and that's where the drop off is.
He starts, doesn't he?
Yeah.
What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, it's one where you've got loads of options. I'm just pleased that we're able to kind of talk about it with options, and we're not kind of clutching on straws and saying, "Oh well, El Neni will have to play there." Like at least we've got the options to switch around if needs be. I don't think even if it was Lokonga that plays, I'd be that worried, if I'm honest.
As long as they don't move Xhaka for me.
Yeah, I think he's good enough.
Because when he plays further forward, he don't get booked.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as he doesn't lose his head like he has in the past in these.
I think he only does that when he's having to, like, because if you watch the All or Nothing with the Liverpool game, he was playing in that 6 role and he was basically having to do other players' jobs who weren't stepping up. Whereas Xhaka's been forward playing as an 8, as an advanced, like more towards the front of like the penalty box. I think we're seeing a better Granit Xhaka.
I think this is certainly the best Granit Xhaka we've seen since he's joined Arsenal.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's not asked to protect the back four like he was previously. So,
but I think we've got Partey, Sambi. Like, if worst came to worst, you could always put Ben White there. He's done it before. So, like, not for us, but for Brighton and Leeds. So, that's what I'm saying. If you was that desperate, if you got a fully fit Partey, it's not really a question for me. And that's why I think we need another one in January.
I also think if there's any potential risk of re-injury at all,
you don't play him, do you?
You don't risk him for this game at all, really.
Well, not with the October schedule that we've got coming out. That you think we've got Tottenham, Liverpool, PSV.
It's a massive fixture though, because if you think about it, United, Chelsea, and Liverpool, none of them are playing this weekend.
Yeah,
so in theory, we've got, I know we joked about City catching us up and whatnot, but they're going to be our rivals for the top 4, aren't they? So if we can get even 3 points,
you've got to think Chelsea and Liverpool as well. Well, would have played.
So one of them in theory would have dropped points. So if we can get another 3 points and edge even further in front, that's points on the board, that they don't yet have. So even at this stage,
I'd like to hope we're in a decent position, so you could start Partey and then take him off, and then that kind of covers. To say, like, I don't know, just say hypothetically we're winning 2-0 and it's the 60th or 65th minute. I think you can afford to take Thomas Partey off and bring a Sambi on.
Yeah. Or vice versa. Vice versa.
You've got to play the best team you can possibly play, and we've got to play the best way we can as well. I think we've obviously got. I think a lot of our attacking players have got to try and bring Jesus a bit more into the game when teams crowd him out. That's my own, but we don't know. Brentford, like you said, Ray, if you stop Tony, you've got to try. I think Mbeumo's a really good threat for them as well. So we, if we can stop them, I think we've got a chance of winning. Like I'm not going into away games anymore thinking, oh bloody hell, I've got no chance. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Because a couple of seasons ago, you would have looked at Brentford away and you're going, "Oh, that's a tricky one."
It's going to be hard, and it's going to be
It's not opening day of the season.
Yeah.
It's a good time to play.
It's going to be a hard away game. I think it's a test. It's not the Brentford day, and what everyone needs to remember as well, they've not got no Christian Eriksen now.
No, but they've still got players that can hurt you.
Definitely.
I just think we're better how we manage games. We just need to cut out the stupid mistakes at the back, and I think we'll be all right.
I'm just hoping for my own sake is that last season we saw Arsenal lose 1 and bam, 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 lose 3 or 4.
Yeah.
This will show for me how Arsenal's mentality's changed with the performance and the result we get.
Brentford as well, they're unbeaten at home, so we need to put an end to that so then they can be actual relegation candidates instead of picking up points every 5 minutes.
And on that non-biased note from Matt, we'll quickly go what was it score you said, Sam?
2-1.
Matt?
2-0. Arsenal.
Okay. I don't like you going for Arsenal, so that means we don't win. And what do you reckon, Ray?
I agree with Sam. I think it'd be a 2-1 Arsenal win.
I'm gonna go for 3-1 Arsenal, and it's 3-2 in the West Ham game. So, on that note, we'll finish there. Thank you to everyone who's watched and also contribute. Spoke in the chat, but I don't think anyone did. So thank you for everyone watching. Thank you to my guests. So thank you once again, Ray.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It's been a really good chat actually, and I'm a bit more hyped for this weekend. So thanks guys.
Too much rubbish.
Not as normal, so it's all right. It's all right.
Cheers for that. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. I know it was a little bit last minute and everything, but happy to be on. And thanks to Sam for being producer for today.
Feels weird, doesn't it, Matt? Actually, not producing the show. You're just a guest.
It was nice, but I know it does take a lot out of you to be a producer. So thank you,
we
Sam,
appreciate all of you. To be fair,
taking that over today because I completely forgot I had a work thing. So. Yeah, thank you, Sam, as well. Good show and well done.
Yeah, Matt said, thank you very much, Sam, and I appreciate you producing. We've technically done 2 shows in one there, with the FPL and the preview show.
Yeah, we have.
So, thank you for that. We'll quickly go back round. Where can people find you on social media? Start with you, Sam.
Sam Wilson FC with the 1 being the I.
The I is, yeah. I only do it on the preview show. I don't do it on other shows because it's different. Matt, where can people find you?
At Matt LR28.
Quickly, Matt, before we go on, do you want to tell the guys what you've done with the song book with the women's game?
Right. So, this season, I went to a lot of the WSL games away.
Put him on the spot here. He didn't know I was going to do this.
And I noticed a lot of the songs weren't being sung because a lot of the fans didn't know. So I created a songbook. Some of them were already well-known songs, and some of them I put together. So with a few other fans, so some that we know already. So Adam, who friend of the channel as well, he helped me with a few of them. I did ask a few of our friends as well, like Lottie, to see if she could help contribute because there was a few ones that I, like in the Euros, that I was making and forgotten. I was like, oh, I remember that one now. But it's all gone into one big songbook, and it is now downloadable from the Arsenal Women's Supporters Supporters Club, and you'll be able to read that. And they've got a nice little piece about Maria for her songs as well. And we've also actually, speaking about that, George, they're asking fans to be there before 7:15 tomorrow, so that because they're going to have a tribute to Maria, and then they're going to have the tribute to the Queen afterwards as well.
Yeah, we'll be there. Cool. Thank you for that. So if you support Arsenal and you want to get involved with that, just let us know and we can send you in the right direction for that. So thank you, Matt. Who's that? Ray. Sorry, I forgot where to find you.
Yeah, it's all right, mate. So yeah, my Twitter handle is Ray_Cassim there. And if not, I'm sort of go to most home games, as many as I can go to. So come and say hello. The next home game I've got definite is actually the women's North London derby. So
yes,
that's my first women's game. So I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think. I'm going now as well. So
are you coming as well? Cool.
Yeah. So
good.
That will be a WSL record. 40.
I think everyone on this. I think everyone on this call is that. Are you on this call on this show? Are you going, Matt?
Yes, I am going.
So everyone on this
nice one.
Show will all be there.
Yeah, they've gone to 45,000 tickets today sold. So
WSL record.
Cool. So yeah, that's got that to look forward to. Then obviously you can find me at Clockend George, or either here or sometimes, well, not sometimes, quite a lot on Arsenal Fans Forever with G and Jonesy. So give them guys a follow as well.
Oh, you've missed one. Or drunk in the Tollington before and after the game.
Yeah, well, I'm drunk in the Tollington, even though I'm meant to be sorting out a health kit. So it means I'm only potentially getting drunk 3 times in the next month. So instead of 6. But that's probably because Arsenal are not playing for the rest of the month.
That's all right. Women's Super League's back.
Yeah, I don't get drunk there for some reason. I think it's because some of the games they don't do headsets, so I have to really concentrate. So yeah, but so that is it. That's all from us. We will be back next week. Obviously, next week sometime. Obviously, we've got the funeral for the Queen, so out of respect for that, we won't have a show on the Monday. So yeah, catch up with you guys soon. All have a lovely Thursday evening, and come on, you Gunners!
Come on, you Gunners!